All right, I think I got the signal. Good morning, good afternoon. Great to see everyone here on this amazing summer weekend, right? I really feel like summer has now kicked into gear and it's exciting. It has, hasn't it? Well, welcome to Unity of Charlotte. We're so happy to have you here in person. If you're watching us on Zoom, we're happy to have you joining us. If you happen to be watching it on YouTube any other time, thank you for checking in and listening to our message. We're happy you're all here in whatever way you show up. My name is Reverend Lisa Herklotz. I'm the co-minister here at Unity of Charlotte along with my husband, Rev Jim, who you'll be hearing the message from later on. And we want to start by saying Happy Father's Day. Yay! Happy Father's Day. We're going to be looking at two celebrations today. One is Father's Day and the other is Juneteenth, which is celebrated tomorrow. And Reverend Jim is going to be talking to you about both of those things in detail, so I'm going to let him carry on forward, but just want you to know that we celebrate fathers. We love you. We bless you for the roles that you play in whatever way that fathership shows up. And we celebrate Juneteenth in honor of that liberation, but also in ally and advocacy to continue the work that we still need to do to bring a true sense, a true equal expression of our diverse human nature into our consciousness and into our society. So know that that's what we stand for. Unity of Charlotte is a place where we nurture a deep and mature experience of God through the practice of unity principles. And simply put, this means we are here to love, grow, and serve. If you're here for the first time, would you mind raising your hand and letting us know so we can say hello? Ladane, we're going to be meeting her very soon. Thank you for being here. Anyone else? And if you're joining us via Zoom for the first time, put your name in the chat if you would. Let us know you're here. We're happy to send you an email packet of information about Unity. But you're also welcome to check our website. We get a newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter. It has all the information about the events we have going on here. So some announcements. Armand and Angelina are coming July 9th. July 9th. That's coming really fast. Get the word out. Let your friends know. Everybody's welcome to come. They're going to do the Sunday celebration service. They're going to do the message and the music. And then at 6 o'clock that evening on Sunday, they're going to do an evening concert that's really a combination of music and mirth. So we decided, yes, that's the best thing right now, because don't we all need to laugh more? Absolutely. So please join us and bring friends. Everybody is welcome. July 9th. Theater ministry. Oh my goodness, we have a treat for you next week. So June, we've had our first group going through the theater class with our own Reverend Adrian. And I've only heard little bits and pieces, but there was a lot of laughter. So they're going to actually perform on Sunday, next Sunday. It's going to be a short skit, but invite your friends to that too, because it's going to be a really fun experience. So now, theater ministry continues. This group wraps up next Sunday, but then the July group starts on the 8th. So there's open slots, sign up. We have registration links on our website, the newsletter, and also a QR code. If you don't know how to use a QR code, you just put the phone on, the camera on your phone, and it'll take you directly to that registration link. Or come see Reverend Jim. We can help, Reverend Jim or myself, we can help you. If you're a returning participant, if you want to repeat the class, there's a new option. So you do want to register, but there's a returning participant registration for you. So be sure to register if you're going to do it again. New member workshop series has kicked off this Saturday. We had our first class. It was covering the 5 unity principles. These are the foundational beliefs we hold in unity. And we had a wonderful turnout. Next month, we're going to be doing a workshop on affirmative prayer to dive a little deeper into what that means. It's a unique way that we pray, by affirming the truth that we know. So everyone is welcome to come. If you're looking to become a new member, it's a required class, so come see Reverend Jim and myself so we can make sure we get you in. New Coffee with Ministers. Coffee with Ministers, we've been doing Coffee with Ministers on Friday mornings. It's just a casual call-in to check in, get a chance to talk to us. We get a chance to talk to you. It's been a wonderful experience, but we're giving it a summer break, and we'll be back in August with that. September. Back in September, after a brief hiatus. All right. Chair moving party, June 25th, after the Sunday service. This is for Jim Fuller, our chairman of the board, president of our board extraordinaire, who has put together a party to get us out of our storage unit at long last. And so there's chairs in there that need to be moved. He's got a van or truck arranged. He just needs a couple of people to help. So if you are going to be available to do that, today you can see Michael Brown, who's over here, and you'll be seeing him in a minute. But you can also just show up on Sunday and let them know you're available to help. And finally, we just want to let you know our youth and family ministry is on. We have a full staff ready to engage our youth in learning more about unity principles, how to use them in their lives, and have some fun. So if you know somebody who has children, let them know that our youth and family ministry is active. There's these and many other ongoing events. You can find those informations and links in our newsletter or on our website. And now it is my honor to introduce a special guest we have here today. You briefly met her. It's Reverend Ladane. I got to look at McLeese Pulaski. I get them mixed up. Reverend Ladane McLeese Pulaski, and she is the executive director of MECMIN. You can come on up if you want, Ladane. Thank you. MECMIN is the Mecklenburg Metropolitan Interfaith Network. It was actually one of the first things Reverend Jim and I participated in before we even started here, because they had a lunch event and we went there, and Ladane's probably the first person I met. And I am just so impressed with everything that they're doing to engage our broader community across different faith traditions, to bring them together, to increase and improve our communication with each other, to get to know each other, and to start to build a stronger Charlotte community by bringing our houses of faith together. And they do this in a lot of different ways, and also have many service projects out in our community, which I'm hoping we will begin to get more active and involved in. So let me tell you just a real quick thing about Ladane, Reverend Ladane. She is currently the executive director of MECMIN. She's been doing that since October of 2019. She has a level of energy and passion for this work that is unparalleled, which is evident in how many things they get done with a staff of what? 1.5, not even two. Not even two. It is impressive, the events and activities that get put on. She previously served on the staff of the Baptist Peace Fellowship of North America, the Baptistas por la Paz, for 21 years, ended as the executive director, and began her career as the minister of youth at Myers Park Baptist Church. Currently, she and her husband, Tom, are active members at Park Road Baptist, and they have a daughter, Katie, who is still recently graduated?
Yes, she just graduated
from Meredith College. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's quite an accomplishment. The job is next. So I'm going to hand Reverend Ladane the mic and let her tell you a little bit more about the incredible things that MECMIN is doing.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It is a joy to be with you. I have really enjoyed getting to know Lisa and Jim, and have been looking forward to being with you this morning. And I want to compliment you. The work that I do now and the work that I do before means that I spend a lot of time walking into congregations where I am completely unknown and I don't know anybody. And let's just say some of them do a much better job than others of being welcoming. I was once at a church, I'm not making this up. I showed up early because I was driving an hour to get there. And so I didn't know how long it was going to take me. Got there an hour early. I'm walking around. I'm looking for signs. And clearly I am there for the first time. And it took 45 minutes for the first person to say hello to me. And it was the person I had come to see when I finally managed to find her office. It took you about 5 seconds to welcome me this morning. And then several other people welcomed me as well. So good work. That's great. As Lisa said, I'm the head of MECMAN. I've been there since October of 2019. It's a fabulous organization. I have loved getting to know it so much and would love to have more of you involved. So let me tell you a few of the things that we do. We have 9 different faith groups who are involved. It's Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Baha'i, Sikh, Hindu, Science of Mind, and Unitarian Universalist. I think I got them all. And all of those faith groups call their members to love their neighbors. But I always say it's hard to love well a neighbor that you don't know well. Super quick story, we have these meetings, Zoom meetings that we've been having since March of 2020, where we ask ourselves, what's going on in the community right now, and how can the faith community be part of responding? And very early in the pandemic, when there was the coin shortage, Refugee Support Services, one of the groups that comes regularly to those meetings, which we're still having, shared that a lot of their clients couldn't wash their clothes because they were all living in apartment complexes in East Charlotte that all had coin-operated laundries. And so we did an interfaith quarter drive and had this is when nobody was worshiping in person at all. So all these clergy were standing out in front of their congregations with little bags or baskets collecting quarters. And then Refugee Support Services put them in these little beautiful gold bags and delivered them. And I just love that story because it's such a specific way of how we concretely loved our immigrant neighbors because we knew well enough what they needed to be able to respond in that very specific way. And so all of our work, everything we do is around getting to know each other well enough that we can love each other well. I brought some flyers. We do lots of different things. I won't try to tell you all of them. I also brought bookmarks that have specific dates on them and some little stickers left over from our awards breakfast that talks about connection, compassion, and community. But let me just tell you a couple of quick things. We do still do those calls on Thursdays. They're every other Thursday morning at 11. Anybody is welcome if you're interested in just kind of finding out what's going on and how you can plug in. Something that I think you might really enjoy, once a quarter we have an event called Open Tables where we meet at a particular congregation. We have a potluck dinner and a conversation, bringing people together of different faiths. It's really lovely. We do service projects once a quarter. We do youth activities once a quarter. That's for middle and high schoolers. And then we also do an annual community-wide interfaith Thanksgiving service, which is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Would love to have you get involved in any of those programs. I'm going to hang out after the service, so please come and talk to me and or grab one of our handouts. We would love to get you more involved. I think based on what I know of you, I think that you would really enjoy this opportunity to get to know people all throughout Mecklenburg County of lots of different faiths and traditions and perspectives and backgrounds. We had a gathering back last August. It was a fairly small group, about 40 people, and I left and I went home and told my husband, I said, there could not have been a more diverse gathering in Mecklenburg County than what we had last night. So it's a wonderful opportunity to get to know lots of different kinds of people and lots of communities, so I hope that you will join us often.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming here, Reverend Ledane. It was so nice to have you here, and we'll continue to talk about opportunities as they come up. We'll begin to put them in our newsletter so you know that there are things that you can join if you have the time and the calling to. All right, let's take a moment in prayer. Let's just gently close our eyes and sit back and let's take a deep centering breath. Prayer is when we turn within to commune with our Creator, that single source which we know as love. And today in prayer, we reaffirm that there is nowhere that God is not present. God lives and expresses within me. God lives and expresses between me and you. And God lives and expresses as you. This is the consciousness of unity that we strive to bring into our lives and into this world. We send out blessings to all those who have played the role of father in whatever form. A sense of gratitude and appreciation for the strength, the guidance, and the love that has been offered to children or anyone of a younger age, maybe even into our adulthood. Our fathers have played roles in our lives. And for this we are forever grateful. And so it is. Amen. Now please join me in affirming our unity prayer of oneness. There is one presence and one power in my life and the universe, God the good omnipotence. We claim and affirm this presence in our lives as love. Now I want to open this space up for just a few minutes if you or a loved one has need of prayer. If you would like to speak that name or the situation out loud into this sacred space, this is the time to do so as we hold them in silent prayer. In faith that each person, each situation spoken aloud or spoken within our hearts has been lifted in prayer, and Spirit is already working in and through that situation to bring its highest good. So it is. Amen. And now I'd like to call Margaret up to read our daily word.
Oh, big print. Big print. Sunday, June 18th, blessing for fathers. I bless my father and the men who have shown me fatherly kindness. Today I bless and give heartfelt thanks to my father and the men who were fatherly figures to me. Their protecting presence, wise guidance, caring instruction have helped me be the person I am today. I bless my father and those who shared a father's loving care with prayers of appreciation for my memories throughout all the seasons of my life. Through good times and bad, I see God expressing through my father and the men who have shown me fatherly love. I bless them with prayers of gratitude, affirming they know the loving care of God as they have shown it so generously and faithfully to me. And fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. And that's from Ephesians. Thank you.
Brett. And we are going to have a special presentation of recognition. So I'm going to invite Michael Brown up.
For those of you that don't know, this is Miss Cheryl Holden. And when she, hopefully our other member of our Unity volunteer team will be back with us momentarily, and that's Dwayne Weeder. When Mary and I had been away from Unity of Charlotte for a short time, when we came back, there was a service going on called the tea service. And you know, in the South, when you say tea, you mean sweet tea. I mean, you know, there's no other kind. But they would go over once a month to an organization which was then called Urban Ministry. It's now called Roof Above. And they would serve tea. Now, that may not be a big deal to you. This is an organization that does a traditional soup kitchen. And when they didn't have some volunteer organization come in, everybody would have to share one water fountain among 200 people. So different church groups and other organizations would get together and they would either bring canned sodas or some other type of beverage. And Unity of Charlotte, under Dwayne Weeder's leadership, and I hope he can get here, and with Cheryl's partnership, started providing sweet tea on a monthly basis. And people just loved it. I mean, it's just one of those things that if you drink enough sweet tea, you'll become Southern in your soul. If you weren't Southern born, you'll just become that. And over the years, Mary's a member of the team, and Gil Spears, if you'll raise your hand, let people know, Gil Spears is also a member of the team. And we invite other people who want to be members of the team. And come on down, Dwayne. I knew if I procrastinated long enough, I could, Mary said I can do that real good too. I can just talk on and on. But anyway, we just wanted to, come on in, Sam. This is Dwayne Weeder, people. Thank you. Yeah, let's give them both big hands. I wanted this to be a surprise, so I couldn't get all the details, but I believe that both of y'all have been involved with the tea service for over 10 years? Probably. Yeah, over 10 years. And Dwayne was the team leader, and then when he got time, he wanted to step down, but he didn't want to stop being part of the volunteer team, though. So he asked me, and I agreed to step in as team leader, which is not really a job, team leader. When you got volunteers like these two, and Gil and Mary, there's nothing to it. It's just like you get to go in there. My main job is to stir the mix up for the sweet tea. But anyway, we wanted to, when I found out they were going to be leaving, and I thought it'd be like August or September, October, and then 3 weeks ago they said, well, things have gone pretty good with this application. We have to move to Rome, Georgia. Rome, Georgia, and we'll be leaving the last Sunday of this month will be our last Sunday. Huh? You know, I was like, whoa, okay. So I called Reverend Lisa and Rev Jim and explained it to them, and I said, I want to do something to celebrate the years of service that Dwayne and Cheryl have provided to those people that sometimes we sort of look past, you know? Or when we stop at the exit from the highway and they're standing there on the corner asking for money with all kinds of wonderful signs, that we kind of find a way to avert our eyes or whatever. Dwayne and Cheryl didn't do that. They stepped up to the plate, and every month they're there with people that need to be treated like we all want to be treated, with dignity and respect. And they've been such great role models for me and Mary, and I think for Gil as well, of how we should be treating each other all the time. And we just wanted to give you a token of our appreciation for your years of service, and also a gift bag that, you know, we just thought it would be. Yeah, okay. You have anything that you'd like to say?
I'm gonna miss it.
You're gonna miss it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Gonna miss these people here too.
So there's such a good example of community. Come on, yes.
I wanted to add one other special thank you to Cheryl. I don't know how many of you know this, but for at least a decade, Cheryl's been the baker, who has baked the birthday cake for our Sundays. So thank you, Cheryl.
We're we're giving a little challenge to our tech team here, but they're on it. We just want to say, Reverend Jim and I, how much we've appreciated having you here. We haven't had the chance to know you as long as most of the folks here, but we can tell by what they say and express in their love for you and appreciation that you have been a very beloved part of this community, and you will be missed dearly. And we send blessings of joy and love and prosperity into your new journey. Yeah, thank you. A round of applause for that. And I understand we have one more blessed cake from Cheryl on their going away at our potluck next month, I guess July, 1st of July. So, all right, thank you so much for that, Michael. And I'm now going to turn it over to Reverend Jim to lead us in.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I'm Reverend Jim Ernstsen. It's so good to be here. I was watching the news this last week, and I always have to be a little bit careful with the news. So I was reading the news. Let me just say I was reading the news, because watching the news can sometimes be fraught for myself. But reading the news and a story about a man and his daughter came up. His daughter had just joined the college golf team, and she had forgotten to go shopping because she was tasked with buying a new pair of socks. And he was worried. As a father, he was worried for his daughter, as fathers. I'm a father, and I worry about my daughter as well. And he was worried that possibly one of her old socks would be a hole-in-one. That's my example of a dad joke. If you didn't see that coming, and I'm going to tell you that the appropriate response to a bad dad joke is what? Groaning, yes. So let me hear it again. Hole-in-one. There you go. Perfect. Today we're going to talk about a couple different things. We're going to talk about, of course, Father's Day, but we're also going to include Juneteenth in this conversation and the intersection of these two celebrations, these two things within our consciousness. So Father's Day and Juneteenth. We're going to combine those and talk about strength and overcoming that intersection of adversity. So, stick with me as we move through this. I mentioned my topic to Reverend Lisa, and she says, I don't know how you're going to do this. I don't know how you're going to bring these together. So all through the week, she kept saying, I can't wait to hear how you're going to do this. So it's kind of a magic trick for me. I'm going to pull it out of a magic hat or something. I don't know what I'm going to do. But happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers and the father figures. I want to make sure you hear that. The father figures out there. Because when I say father figures, I'm thinking of aunts and uncles. Some of the best father figures that I've ever seen are friends of the family that serve and interact with the kids in that family and teach and are good role models. So father figures, it's your day as well. Let's start with a brief history of Father's Day. In the turn of the century, and I had to look up her name. I knew most of this, but I had to look up her name. Sonora Smart Dodd. She was inspired by Mother's Day and wanted to do the same thing for her father. Her father was a Civil War veteran and a widower, I guess it would be, and raised all the kids himself. So she wanted to honor him, and his birthday was June 19th. So that's the time of year. Celebrations took took effect mainly in the state of Washington for many, many years. It caught on. Other states started to celebrate Father's Day as well. And in 1966, President Johnson had a proclamation, but then officially, President Nixon in 1972 made it an official national holiday on the third Sunday of June. So that's Father's Day for us. Father's Day is a day to recognize and appreciate the contributions and the sacrifices of those fathers and father figures. It highlights the role, in my mind, of nurturing and teaching within a family unit. That's what it means to me, that nurturing and that teaching. Because when I think of my father, at least, he had lessons that he had in mind that he wanted to impart on his sons. I have two other brothers. There's 3 sons in our family. And he took that seriously. And I'm going to use an example later on to show you how serious he was with that. Let's go ahead to the next slide. I do have an affirmation I've used throughout the week, and I'm going to take it with me into this next week as well. Let me say it first, and then I'm going to have you join me. But my strength is inherited from divine spirits. I am wise and resilient. Please join me. My strength is inherited from divine spirits. I am wise and resilient. In other words, we're inheriting that fatherly strength that I'm talking about from divine spirit, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. We are all wise and resilient in the things we do from day to day. So here's that quick story about my dad, in honor of my dad, who has made his transition, so he's no longer with us. But my dad loved, and to me, it's a very telling, manly thing. Anyway, he loved cars. He loved fast cars. He loved big cars. And when he joined the Marine Corps out of high school, his dream job was to be in the motor pool. So he wanted to work on cars. He loved cars so much. He drove a Jeep. He drove that truck. He maintained it. He changed the oil. He did all. He even drove an ambulance for a while that he really didn't like doing. The ambulance was too much for him. He didn't like seeing the sick people that he picked up in the. But he kept those vehicles strong and well maintained. That's what he loved to do. I was born on a Marine Corps base as my dad was serving as a Marine. His favorite car was a GTO, if anyone knows that muscle car, right? You can't get much of a more muscle than GTO, right? That was his favorite car. And my mom didn't like riding with him because he couldn't not go around a corner and not peel rubber, right? I mean, but that was his favorite car. And all the pickup trucks that he always drove were the big, giant V8s that Chevy ever made. He was a Chevy guy. It was his responsibility, he felt, to teach his 3 sons this same thing, the manly art of cars, right, and the appreciation for cars. So through our growing up in appropriate ages, and I'm going to say at probably age 6 or 7, I learned how to pump gas. He was going to show me. I was in charge of that. Every time we stopped pumping gas, later on, it was changing the oil in the car. He taught me how to do that, and then he would instruct me, it's time to do it. I'll stand off to the side. You're going to be doing it. And then ultimately how to tune up a car as well at the appropriate age. That's what my dad, down over the generations, that's what he taught me how to do. The lesson he taught me, I think, about a car, he wasn't even aware how much of a metaphor he was teaching me in terms of a car. But he would open up the hood of the car and he would point. He could hear and listen to that car as it was running, right? And he would, with me off to the side, he would say, and he would point out the different parts and the different mechanisms of that car. And he'd tell me, listen to that distributor cap. Can you hear it? Tick, 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 tick. Can you hear the exhaust of this car? Can you hear? And he would go through 5 or 6 of the systems of a car. But then he'd always say, and he'd point out, we probably have to, we're going to adjust the distributor cap and make it, run more smoothly. But he always came back to, this is a whole. It's not just a part. This is a whole that runs together. Missing any one of those parts, or one of those parts not running smoothly, affects the whole car itself. I learned that metaphor with the communities that I belong to. Cheryl and Dwayne are a part of our community. And we're going to miss them. But somebody else will step up so that smooth running community is back again. We each do our thing within this community. It's important as an integrated whole. Juneteenth. Let's move to Juneteenth. A brief history. It is a national holiday, also known as Freedom Day. Even though President Abraham Lincoln issued that Emancipation Proclamation back in 1863, 2.5 years later, there were still parts of the country that were not under Union Army control where slavery was still being practiced. So, General Gordon Granger, and again I had to look that up, but General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas on June 19th. Yes, we've got a repeating date here, 1865, to enforce the end of slavery for that city. And the celebrations, in the years following the celebrations, went throughout Texas, mainly within the African American communities. But it spread state to state until finally now it is a national holiday. Tomorrow we celebrate Juneteenth. U.S. Senate approved the bill in 2021 establishing Juneteenth as a national day of independence and as a federal holiday. Juneteenth is a celebration of liberation, and I love this word, of jubilation. Jubilation. So struggle, resilience, overcoming, but then I looked it up. Joy, jubilation, joy, and celebration as well. It's usually a time for family gatherings, a lot of parks, prayer services, and especially the sharing of food and stories throughout the generations. It's a celebration of freedom, African American heritage, resilience, like I said earlier, and our ongoing struggle for equality and justice. Juneteenth. I am embarrassed to say I didn't know Juneteenth until probably about 5 years ago. That's incredible that my head was in the sand for that long, since 1865. Not that I was alive in 1865. Again, my affirmation, my strength is inherited from divine spirit. I am wise and resilient. So bringing those two things, bringing Father's Day together with Juneteenth, I'm titling this Overcoming Adversity. It is that intersection of strength, wisdom, and resilience that leads to freedom. If you can imagine the overlap of those two things. Back in the 1930s, almost 100 years now, since we're in 2023, almost 100 years ago, Charles Fillmore, who is co-founder of the Unity Movement with his wife Myrtle, gave a series of lectures that was later compiled into a book, The 12 Powers of Man, or mankind, humankind, let's say. And those are the 12 attributes of our lives, of divine expression. What he did was he saw in his studies of the New Testament, he saw a representation from the disciples, the 12 disciples, of 12 attributes that coming together represented the Christ spirit, that divinity within each and every one of us. Again, looking back at that metaphor, these are like 12 pieces or parts of a car, but coming together, they're that smooth running engine. So we can't be all faith and ignore the other 11. It's faith and strength and all the 12 together. That is the Christ that we speak of. Each one stands and interacts with the other in wisdom as a whole. One of those 12 powers, one of those divine attributes is strength. And so when we see that overlapping, that's what I see in Father's Day and Juneteenth is strength. Staying the course is the definition of strength within unity. In the face of adversity. Strength in the face of adversity. And stability. I think of stability as that being centered, being balanced, and maybe even the body language of, and Reverend Lisa loves this, the body image of Wonder Woman. When you see Wonder Woman who is centered and strong, what do you see? You see this, right? That's the body language of strength. Balanced, strong, firmly rooted. There is a tenacity to this strength. There is a staying power with this. And I'm thinking specifically of Juneteenth. The staying power, this focus on the task. Andrew is the disciple that represents strength within those 12 disciples. In the Old Testament, in the Hebrew scriptures, think of David. So you've got King David and his son Solomon in the Old Testament. Here's the quote from the Hebrew scriptures. Be strong and courageous. Let me back up a second. This is David speaking to his son. Father to son. Be strong and courageous and do the work. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for God is with you. This is that father as teacher, handing it down to the next generation. Don't be afraid of work. Don't be afraid of getting down there and doing it. God's with you. You've got the strength. You've inherited that from God. So God and fathers are handing down this strength to the next generation. And many times it is, think of this, it is the cultural norms that get handed down from generation to generation. So we have to be careful of what we hand off to that next generation. I learned from my father about working hard. I learned from my father about, about working with others as a team. He was always about teamwork. I learned from my father about seeing others with respect. I'm so grateful for that lesson. I learned from my father that I could fail, fall down, and get back up again. And it would be okay. We want to acknowledge the significance of Juneteenth in our journey towards equality and justice. We want to encourage fathers and the father figures to be strong role models in our society, advocates for freedom, and teach. That's what I'm proposing, to continue to teach. Teach strength through resilience. Teach that there's a time to focus on liberation, and then there's a time for jubilation. Both of those things. Teach that we will continue to focus on equality for all the members of our community. And teach the ideal that diversity makes us all stronger, while celebrating the beauty of African American heritage. Again, my strength is inherited from divine spirit. I am wise and resilient. So what did we talk about today? We talked about Father's Day, that shaping of our children's hearts, those in our family units. Juneteenth, the concept of equality, justice, and resilience. The intersecting of those in overcoming adversity, strength as we bring together in role models for the next generation, as we learn from our past and as we move into our future as well. Know that I love you, I bless you, I appreciate you, and I see the Christ, I see the divine spirit within each and every one of you. Namaste. We're going to take a few moments in meditation. So I invite you to shift around, get yourself comfortable. Feet on the ground makes most sense for me, planting into Mother Earth there. If it feels right, closing your eyes, finding a place for your hands, and then breathing, simply breathing and noticing that breath. Is that breath in your chest as it expands and contracts? Is it in your belly? Or do you feel it in your nostrils? But breathe and notice. And find that rhythm. And sink down into this quiet time. This time that we allow ourselves to open up to that intersection we spoke of wisdom and justice. It is, in fact, our natural state to be wise. We were given that. It is ours. We don't have to search for it. It is within. We notice that breath. With that next exhale, we drop a little deeper. I also know that my reality is spiritual. These spiritual concepts that we speak of, that is what my reality is based in. I am that spiritual being having a human experience. I allow myself to move a little deeper. And for the next minute or so, we move into silence. come out of this time, this silence, we might take that deep breath. We become aware of the room around us once again. When it's right, you can open your eyes. Namaste.
Well, thank you, Reverend Jim, for two really moving pieces of music. This is the time in our service where we have our offertory and our blessing, and we just want to express our gratitude for all of the gifts that that come this way, because this is how we get to continue to be a light here for this community and for our greater community. We have a slide behind me that talks about consistent giving. We have many different ways that you can give now. We will be passing the plate around, but also know you can give through the donate button on the website or the newsletter. There's a text you can use. There's a QR code, and all of these are out on the bulletin board. So we just want to continue to let you know we have all these opportunities. So before our offertory begins, I'd like you to join us as we say together our offertory blessing. Joyously, I give this gift, knowing the divine presence blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.